If you're a beginner, recreational, or old man coffee poker player just like me, you've probably heard two opposite things. Either one, you've got to learn GTO, or two, don't play GTO at small stakes. So which is it? Here's the truth. GTO and exploitative poker are not enemies. GTO is the baseline, exploitation is the adjustment. GTO shows us what balanced poker looks like. Once we understand that, we can spot when small stakes players are doing something wildly unbalanced. And trust me, they are. They call too much, they limp too much, they under-bluff rivers, they overvalue top pair, and when they bet big, they have it. So today we're going to use basic GTO knowledge to exploit small stakes cash game players. Not by becoming solver robots, but by making profitable adjustments. Here are the 8 key exploits to leverage in small stakes cash games. Roll intro. Hi everyone, I'm Old Man Chris, and this is GTO for OMC. I'm bringing you along on my journey to learn game theory optimal poker concepts and simplify them for real players, beginners, recreationals, and old man coffee players just like me. Let's incorporate these concepts into our game so we can crush cash games, like this episode will teach us, and run deep in tournaments. I've heard loud and clear from many of you in the comments that GTO doesn't apply to 1-3 stakes. So today we're going to refute that theory and cover one of the most practical topics in poker: how to use GTO concepts to exploit players in small stakes cash games. As we've talked about on this channel, GTO is not about memorizing every solver-approved decision. For us, GTO is a map. It tells us what hands should raise, what boards favor which player, how often players should defend, when small bets make sense, and when bluffs need to exist. Then we use that map to adjust. If our opponent folds too much, we bluff more. If our opponent calls too much, we bluff less and value bet more. If our opponent never bluffs the river, we overfold. GTO helps us understand what should be happening. And when we understand what should be happening, we can recognize when our opponents are making mistakes. That is where exploitation begins. GTO gives us the baseline. Our opponents give us the adjustment. Small stakes cash games are different. Many players are not balanced. They're not thinking in ranges. They call too wide. They limp call hands they should fold. They chase draws at bad prices. They bet big when strong and small when weak. So we should not blindly play solver poker against them. If a player never folds top pair, bluffing them at a perfect GTO frequency is lighting money on fire. If a player folds every time they miss the flop, checking back because I need to protect my range is leaving money on the table. The goal is not perfect balance. The goal is the most profitable adjustment. Probably the best YouTuber out there in terms of poker education is Jonathan Little. He's absolutely fantastic at teaching theory and explaining why that theory is relevant. Much of this video is based upon topics that I've learned from his videos, as well as his book, Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em. Just like in all of my episodes, my intent is to simplify GTO and modern poker concepts. But if you want to go a level deeper, then I highly recommend this book, and by clicking on the affiliate link in my description, you'll be helping out the channel. So today we're going to talk about 8 simple small stakes exploits. The first exploit: against calling stations, value bet bigger. The calling station hates folding. They call pre-flop, flop, turn, and river. Sometimes they call and then say, I knew you had it, and you're thinking, then why the hell did you call? Against this player, bluff less, value bet more, and value bet bigger. If you raise ace-king and the board runs out king-high with no obvious danger, don't get scared and check back. Worst kings call, pocket pairs call. Sometimes ace-high calls because he puts you on ace-queen. One of the biggest mistakes OMCs make is getting scared. We think, what if he has 2 pair? Sure, sometimes he does, and it's super frustrating when he turns over 8-4 of clubs for those 2 pair. But most of the time, the player who calls too much has too many weak hands. Make him pay. You'll win way more over time, and you'll just have to accept those rare times when he has 2 pair. Exploit number 2. Against nits, steal more and fold when they fight back. The nit is tight, super tight. They fold too much pre-flop, they fold too much on flops, and when they wake up with a big raise, siren should be going off. But in the absence of that big raise, we attack. Steal more blinds, c-bet more often on good boards, apply pressure when their range is weak. But when they show serious aggression, believe them. GTO teaches us that we need to defend frequently or we become exploitable. This player needs that lesson. Against nits, attack folds, but respect their raises. Exploit number 3. Against limpers, raise for value. You knew this was coming. Limpin' ain't pimpin'. In small stakes cash games, Limping is everywhere. GTO generally does not like open limping because it gives up initiative and lets other players realize equity cheaply. So when players limp too much, raise strong hands for value, isolate them in position, and make them pay to see flops. If you're on the button with ace-queen suited and two players limp, don't just call and see a flop, raise. If the standard open is $12 in a 1-3 game, maybe go 18 or 20 after multiple limpers. But don't isolate with trash. Small stakes players call too much, so raise hands that perform well when called. Exploit number 4. Against fit or fold players, c-bet small and c-bet often. The fit or fold player sees the flop and asks, did I hit? If yes, they continue. If no, they fold. On dry, high card boards that favor the pre-flop raiser, small continuation bets work well. You raise from the cutoff and the big blind calls. The flop comes king 7-2 rainbow. This is a dry board. You have range advantage, bet 25 to 33%. They miss and fold, beautiful, but don't c-bet every flop. 9-8-7 with two spades smashes the big blind's range. Use small c-bets on dry boards that favor you. Exploit number 5. Against over-aggressive players, let them bluff. Now let's talk about the young, aggressive player, the hoodie, the headphones, the guy who thinks every pot belongs to him. This player attacks weakness, stabs when checked to, and barrels scare cards. Against this player, you don't always need to out-aggressive them. Sometimes the exploit is to let them bluff. With pocket aces on a king 7-2 board, you can bet small on the flop, then check some turns and let him fire. Against calling stations, bet your hand. Against over-aggressive players, sometimes give them some rope. Exploit number 6. Against under-bluffers, overfold rivers. This might be the most profitable small stakes exploit of all. Most small stakes players don't bluff the river enough. They may bluff flop, they may semi-bluff turn, but when a tight passive player makes a big river bet, they usually have it. GTO says we need to defend enough so we don't get exploited. But if our opponent is under-bluffing, we exploit them by overfolding. Top pair may feel strong, but ask yourself, does this player bluff rivers? If the answer is no, fold. You're not getting exploited by folding to a player who is not bluffing. Curiosity can be very expensive. Exploit number 7. Against bet sizing tells, listen to what they're telling you. Small stakes players often reveal hand strength with sizing. Tiny bet, weak hand or a draw. Big bet, strong hand. Sudden overbet, monster. If they snap check, give up. These are not always true, but patterns matter. GTO teaches balanced sizing. Small stakes players often do the opposite. So pay attention. If they always bet tiny with draws, raise them. If they always bet big with value, fold more often. If they block bet weak pairs, attack sometimes. Observe the pattern, trust the pattern, punish the pattern. Last but not least, exploit number 8. In multi-way pots, bluff less. Small stakes cash games go multi-way a lot. Someone raises, 3 people call, both blinds come along, and now we're seeing a flop 5 ways because apparently everyone paid for the whole seat and they're going to use the whole seat. In multi-way pots, someone is more likely to connect. Your fold equity goes way down. Ranges are stronger when players continue, so bluff less, value bet strong hands, be careful with one pair. Here's an example. You raise with ace of spades, king of spades, 4 players call, and the flop comes king of hearts, 9 of hearts, 8 of clubs. You've got top pair, top kicker. Good hand, but this is a multi-way pot on a very wet board. You don't need to blast like you have the nuts. Worse hands can call, but many strong draws and 2-pair hands are possible. Now compare that with having 9 of spades, 9 of diamonds on the same board of king of hearts, 9 of hearts, 8 of clubs. Now we have a set. This is a hand we want to value bet strongly. And remember, multi-way pots are not the place for ego bluffs. That's the practical use of GTO. We don't need perfect frequencies. We need to know what balanced poker would look like and punish players who are far away from it. So should you learn GTO for small stakes cash games? Absolutely. But not because you're trying to play perfectly balanced poker against a guy who just limp called Jack 4 suited from under the gun. You learn GTO so you know what good poker looks like. Then, when your opponents make obvious mistakes, you adjust. GTO is the map, exploitation is the steering wheel. At small stakes, the money comes from simple adjustments. Value bet the callers, bluff the folders, respect the nits, trap the maniacs, punish the limpers, and stop trying to balance against players who are not paying attention. If this video helped, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. What player type gives you the most trouble in small stakes cash games? I'm Old Man Chris. This is GTO for OMC. And remember, GTO shows us the leak. Exploitation gets us the chips. I'll see you in the next one.